So Tadasana, or mountain pose. Tada meaning mountain, asana, pose, or seat. So Tadasana, we're going to start with our feet hip distance apart. And we're going to press through the four corners of the feet. So the four corners of the feet are the ball of the big and the baby toe, and then each side of the heel, so that we're not rocking to the outside or the inside of our feet, but finding that nice neutral position. So we're going to press the four corners into the feet, and then lift and strengthen the legs so they're active all the way from the soles of our feet up into our hips. We're going to pull our lower ribs and our hip points towards each other just slightly so that we're in this nice neutral, stable core position. Roll the shoulders down and back so the shoulder blades come slightly together behind you, and reach the fingertips strongly towards the floor. So this is a pose where I tell people all the time, it's really easy to cheat. So I can stand here and say that I'm in Tadasana, but right now my core is not engaged, my legs are pretty relaxed, my knees are kind of moving in towards each other, so there's no real work or effort to neutralize there. And my hands are just sort of relaxing. Shoulders are curling a little bit forward, because that's what they naturally do. So just be aware that it's up to you to put the effort into your pose, to put the energy into your pose, to really make it happen. Otherwise, you're just creating a shape of your body with no real purpose. So really ground down into your feet, activate your legs, pull that low belly in and up, pull the lower ribs down and back, roll your shoulders down, reach your fingertips to the floor. And then make sure your chin is parallel to the floor. I'm going to turn to the side. So most of us have this sort of forward head carriage. This is the big one that you can start to correct right off the bat in your classes in Tadasana before you start moving into more complicated poses where you also want this nice neutral neck position. So most of us spend a lot of time looking at a screen. We're looking at a screen, and as a result, we've got this sort of rounding in the upper back and our head moving forward of the spine. So I often have students just take a finger and press their chin back and down slightly. So they find this neutral position, shoulders drawing together, fingertips spread wide, legs nice and strong, core engaged, and then float the eyes closed. Tadasana, mountain pose. It's the foundation for every other standing pose in yoga. So we can find our balance fairly easily here. We can find that steadiness and that calmness. We know how to engage our muscles to just simply stand up straight. And so what we're searching for in every other standing pose is this same simplicity and this same ease that we're able to find here in mountain pose. So finding that steadiness, even when we start to move into more dynamic flows and more complicated poses. So a couple of things to watch in your students is knees locked first will happen. So they'll almost look like they're bent backwards if their knees are locked. So you want to keep the legs straight without locking the joints, and a really great way to teach that is to lift the toes. You can't physically lock your knees with the toes lifted. And then you'll also see people that their legs are really bent for one reason or another, and so they're sort of slouchy in their pose. And so you might want to encourage them to straighten. The biggest one that I see the most often is when you say to open your chest and draw the shoulder blades back. You end up, I was guilty of this for so many years, you end up with this back bend, with the chest pressing forward and that big sway the low back. So this isn't a neutral position, this isn't a position of stability or power. If someone came along behind me and pushed on my shoulders, I would buckle immediately. So just notice when you say open your chest, make sure that you also tell them to pull those lower ribs down and back so that we're locking in the core into that nice neutral position of strength. Because from this neutral strength that we're able to find in Tadasana is where we move into every other pose. We walk it down here, and then we're able to lift our legs or extend our arms, or even both at the same time.